So we wanted to take a few minutes to talk about the Supplemental School Year Program. We know that this is something that is quite different than we've had in the past. So we're going to give just a quick overview about the Supplemental School Year Program. And then we have outstanding representatives from KDE who are going to share about the Infinite Campus updates that are needed to track students who are participating. So the Supplemental School Year Program was created through Senate Bill 128. This emergency legislation allowed any student who was enrolled in K-12 in Kentucky in the 2020-21 school year, and it includes students who are enrolled in non-public schools as well. It gives them the option to have this upcoming school year as a supplemental year. In order to, let me make sure that we, in order to participate, they did need to submit a request to their local school district by May 1st, and then all local school districts had until June 1st to review those requests and vote to either allow all students who asked to participate to be in the program or to deny all requests. It was an all or nothing proposition. There were some points in the bill about athletics, and that included that students were able to have another year of athletic eligibility. If you have specific questions about the athletic components of the bill, we certainly recommend that you talk to KHSAA about athletic concerns. A couple things that we do want to highlight, and this has been discussed in prior superintendent's webcasts, as well as in our guidance document. Students who participated in the program do need to, or who are participating in the program do need to take the assessment for the year that they are enrolled in. So if they are repeating fourth grade, then they will take the fourth grade end of year assessment again, even if they had taken it the year prior. Non-graduated students who repeat a high school year will be counted as graduating in 5 years. So that does affect that 5-year graduation cohort. So if you do have students who are going to be in high school for a total of 5 years, that will be calculated into those graduation rates. One thing that is important to note, we did have an option per the bill to allow for graduated seniors to return for an additional year. And so that created sort of a separate program that was the Graduated Seniors Program. And there are some specific stipulations for those students. So that is important to, if you have any students who are kind of coming back for a 5th year and they were a senior during the 2020-21 school year, I encourage you to review our guidance document to look at those expectations around those students. But with the big things to highlight here, students who are those graduated seniors should be have been issued a diploma because they had completed that coursework, and they any courses that they participate in should not affect their grade point average. So their GPA should not be adjusted, although those courses that they participate in can be recorded on their transcripts. All students who participate in the program, including those graduated seniors, will be eligible for SEEK as long as those graduated seniors complete a full semester. So those SEEK counts they'll need to be in until the semester concludes to be included in those SEEK counts. And then if they complete the spring semester, then they would be included in that count as well. You are able to use your federal funding, your ESSER funds, to pay for any additional expenses incurred because of the supplemental year for those students, if you have some expenses that you had not intended to have without participating in the program. Okay, so we have Holly, who's going to talk through these Infinite Campus updates.
Thank you, Meredith. All right, so I'm Holly with School Data Services, and on the cases team. So I'm going to be going over the data entry part of the Supplemental School Year Program. Let's see. So the program is going to go into the release tonight, and it should be available to all districts tomorrow. We do have some data entry guidance on this. It is linked there. It is also on our data standards page under other procedural documents at the bottom. And districts must indicate students participating in the program by September 1st. So there are two groups that go into this program. For the Supplemental School Year Program, it's for students who are repeating grades K through 12 that did not graduate. And the second group is for the Supplemental School Year Program graduated, who are students that met the graduation requirements and graduated in 2021, but decided to return to supplement their senior year. So you must be assigned tool rights. So Infinite Campus administrators must assign tool rights to the appropriate individuals before program indicators can be seen or updated. And then for the individual student method, this is one way that we're putting it, that you're able to put in the students for the program. So you must enter a start date and select a program type, whether that's the Supplemental School Year Program or the Supplemental School Year Program graduate. The start date will be the first day of school and the end date will be the last day of school for 21-22 school year. It's still weird to say 21-22. Districts should not put anything into the diploma date in the cohort year fields. They will be displayed from the graduation tabs and populated only for high school students as applicable. And this is just reiterating that previous slide, putting in the start date, end date will be the last day of school, select your program type, and explaining the cohort and diploma date. Now, there are two ways to use the program updater methods. So you can create two ad hoc filters, one for the students K through 12 who are not graduated, and then there's one for the students who are returning graduates. And then you can import a file, which is a CSV file with the start date, end date, program type, and their state ID. And this is just an example of that. So you can see by the screenshot where you can import the CSV file as an option, or you can go the ad hoc filter pathway. So Resync state data. When using the federal or state program updater to post to the Supplemental School Year Program, you will need to run as Resync for the information to be synced with the state. And this will also appear on the records transfer documents. The Supplemental School Year Program will be available in the transfer document section of the student records transfer if a student were to enroll in another district. The new district will not create a Supplemental School Year Program record. And as far as reporting options for the districts, KDE will publish an ad hoc filter that should be available tomorrow to ensure data quality of students entered into the program. And then KDE will also create another report this fall that provides details on the enrolled students within both groups of the program. And then for transcript entries for participants of the program, graduated students returning for a supplemental year can have coursework appear on the transcript, but any credit awarded to an already graduated student cannot be used towards high school graduation or be included in the student's final GPA, since the student graduated and was awarded a diploma prior to completion of the supplemental course. Now, in order to make sure the students' supplemental courses are not affecting their GPA or credits, manual adjustments will need to be made to their transcript entries. And if there's any questions or you need to reach out about anything on the program, here's the contact information for myself, Holly Tracy, and for Meredith Brewer as well.
Thanks, Holiday, and Holiday. Thanks, Holly.
You're welcome.
And thanks, Meredith. I think one of the things that I wanted to, I'm going to ask this to you as a question. I think I know the answer, but I will throw the question out there. When we do the reporting for districts to be able to see all the students that they have that are in Supplemental School Year Program, that will include students that are not, maybe didn't have a Supplemental School Year Program in their district, but maybe another district and transferred in, because that information won't be in the same program indicator field, correct?
Correct.
And that's particularly important because, especially for high school students, but I struggle a little bit more about whether folks are going to care long-term for students that are in high school, but for your DACs, that is going to be important because they're going to see a difference between a 4-year graduate and a 5-year graduate. If a student was a 9th grader last year and they choose to repeat 9th grade or any high school grade, that automatically throws them into a 5-year graduate. And Meredith mentioned that earlier. But as far as our reporting goes, that's going to be helpful to be able to see that. And some of those, as they transfer in, and we have considerable mobility in some areas, that will be something you'll want to be able to see. So that information will be there. Syncing the database, just as a reminder, that's really nothing different than anything else you would do in the database. If you're updating the database, there's got to be a sync. So that's just a nice reminder, and I appreciate that, Holly, because we do want folks making sure that the information does get to state edition, because if it doesn't get to state edition, then it's not going to come out for you on these reports either, because we don't have a record of that student being SSYP or SSYPG. And we just created 2 new acronyms for everybody to try to figure out. So Holly was very good about saying the whole thing, but I wanted to make sure you all, because the program indicators do have those acronyms in there too.
That's right. And one thing that I do want to reiterate quickly,
if
I can, this then will address in the assurances. So if you are the representative from your district that completed those assurances to participate in the supplemental school year program, one of those assurance statements was that you would flag all students participating in the program. That is this application that Holly just went through. So you did indicate that you would do this. So September 1st is the deadline, and that will be very helpful for us if you can meet that deadline. We would like to know sort of the number of students who are participating in the program, and that's the only way that we're really able to pull that information. Also, you have received prior communications that you should not have flagged students as retained who are participating in the supplemental school year program. So I just want to repeat that again. So do not mark these students as retained. They need to be marked as either in the SSYP or in the SSYPG if they are returning for that extra year as a graduated senior.
Right. Well, we do have a few questions. I did my little song and dance long enough for people to finish typing. So the first question is, I want to clarify that SSYP students will need to have an enrollment into the current school year. If the student is doing their 4th grade year again, their enrollment will show grade 4 and should be marked retained under 2021 school year. I think everything's right about that, except they shouldn't be marked retained.
Right.
They would show two 4th grade years. Historically, you would see them enrolled like that, but they would not be retained in any way at all. Just have the program indicator SSYP. Second question is, what should the enrollment look like for students who graduate in 2021 and is returning in 21-22? It will just be another 12th grade enrollment, right?
Yes. In the SSYPG group.
Right. And then following up on that, what type of manual adjustments to transcript are needed? And that's about, scores and credits, because once the student has graduated, their GPA and their credits can't be towards graduation. They've already graduated, so anything is on top of that. So you wouldn't want their graduation GPA to change, and you wouldn't want them to show that they have more credits towards graduation than they actually do.
Exactly.
Or they actually need it for graduation.
So removing
and so the one. Okay, I'm sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
I was just removing the weight on that, so they can have. You can show that the grade that they earned, it just needs to be weighted at 0 in their GPA.
I'll go back to that transcript slide where it says schools must manually set the GPA weight, credits earned and credits attempted to 0. Perfect. If that helps.
All right. There is questions about the September 1st date. That is about having all of the students in Infinite Campus by September 1 that are participating either SSYP or SSYPG. So then another question is, once students are identified in SSYP, does grade classification matter if they were not retained? In other words, if credits were retained last year to move to next grade level, is it okay to move them up in IC? And I think the answer to that would be no. If they're an SSYP, they would stay in that grade.
Correct. So the intent of the Supplemental School Year Program was that they would be repeating the year that they were enrolled in the 2020-2021 school year. So that student should be in the same grade classification that they were in during the 2020-2021 school year. So they shouldn't keep moving up. We did provide guidance to those high schools that have asked that as far as course selection for those students, we have, as the law outlines, given guidance that the student should be repeating courses that they took or courses that are supplemental to what they took. However, that is a local decision as to what courses those students are enrolled in. So as far as the classification for that, but their classification in Infinite Campus should be what they were in 2020, 2021.
So for returning, and we're up against the break, so if you want to go ahead and break, you can, but we'll stick around and answer questions until as needed here. So what type of, let's see, I think something jumped on me. What happens when an SSYPG student moves to a district not participating in September?
So the guidance that we have given is that there are a couple of things that need to have happened. So the student needed to have requested to participate in the Supplemental School Year Program in their original district by the May 1st deadline. That district needed to approve participation in the Supplemental School Year Program through board action by June 1, so they need to be a participating district. That student then needs to be transferring to a district that is also participating in the Supplemental School Year Program. And then that local district can determine if they want to honor that Supplemental School Year student's participation in the program at the new district. If they transfer to a district that is not participating, then the district needs to determine at what point they're transferring as to where that student would be placed. So that kind of goes to just your normal transfer policies. So the assessment of the students' prior coursework. If they transfer in May and they've been in 4th grade, then it may be best guidance to enroll them in 4th grade rather than to push them up to 5th grade. But that's going to be a local decision based upon the policy that you have in place for that student. If they transfer after they've concluded the year, then that will carry forward in Infinite Campus, and you'll be able to see that they were a participant in the program previously and enroll them appropriately in the next grade. I hope that makes sense.
So another student, I think so. It does.
Yeah.
So another question about graduated seniors. For returning seniors, do we keep the graduated in 4 years, or do we change that to close of the year? And since the student has already graduated, you don't want to change their end status for the previous year, because it's going to continue to look like they graduated last year. They're just coming back to supplemental education.
And that was another one of the assurances that they need to have their G code. So those students who graduated and were issued a diploma need to have a G code. So that should not change. They graduated, and then they're going to be flagged as that SSYPG.
I think we've answered all the questions, so appreciate that. Meredith is a great contact. She's always very responsive. If you've got questions for how to set up things in campus or this new reporting as it's available, Holly's a great resource for you too. So we appreciate both of them joining us today and providing this information for all districts across the state. And whether you're watching it live or recorded, please share it with those that need to know in your district, because it is important in the timeline to get these students flagged, or not flagged, but the program indicators set in Infinite Campus is relatively short, although it should be set by September 1.